Excellency, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President, Republic of Liberia, Mr. Carl Cottrell, our honoree and country director of Chevron, members of the House and Senate, cabinet ministers, members of the diplomatic corps, our sponsors, dear guests, friends, and well-wishers. Let me begin by thanking all of you immensely for being here today. I can tell you that when the idea of this fundraiser came up, it was something that we did not know would be this successful. In fact, we thought it would be a very small event that would invite a few people and we would raise some money. But to see so many people from so many walks of life gathered here tonight is an indication of something special and important about Liberia. When we have the opportunity to make a difference for our country, we are able to step up to the plate and do it. And I think this will be one of the things that will truly transform Liberia if each and every one of us decide that our focus must be on bringing positive change to our country. It is something that I have been engaged in for most of my life. In recent times, people have identified or known me more because of my work with Celcom. Or recently, when we didn't have water in Monrovia for a few days, people remember that I was the chairman of the board for water and sewer. But a larger part of my life before and even today has always been primarily invested in change through humanitarian projects. And I've been driven by that because I've seen both sides of it. I've seen the extreme side of life as a human being, going through war, and going through those experiences as a young child and even at age 10, realizing that what we experienced in Liberia was simply not right. And saying to myself, and not knowing exactly what I would do or how I would do it, but even at that point saying to myself that whatever it took, I would dedicate the rest of my life to ensuring that no child anywhere in the world went through the circumstances that I experienced. And over the years, I have seen the power of change through small efforts. I have traveled across Africa to some of the poorest countries and seen people living in the most devastating situations. But in each of those places, and even right here in Liberia, I have seen what a little love and a little kindness and a little humanity can do to transform a person's life. There is one story, and unfortunately, I cannot show this picture tonight, but it has become one of my most favorite pictures. It is an image of me being greeted by a young girl, probably 8 or 10, as I'm arriving in Uganda, and she's handing me a bouquet of flowers. And that picture is meaningful because 2 years prior to that, when we had arrived in Uganda to open our offices there, we had met her family. It was a mother, a father, and 6 children who did not even have money to feed their families, and they did not have money to send their children to school. The only way that they could survive was that their 6 children needed to go out in the streets and beg every single day for money. That family was one of the first recipients of a microloan from Youth Action International to start a small business. And the business they started was a flower business. And in 2 years, that business had grown from $300 to where it was enough that that family now had the resources to send their children to school and put food on the table without their children having to beg for it. Now, that made such a profound impact. And I see it every single day. I see what little can do that changes lives. And many times when people consider the work I do, they consider the numbers. How many people have been impacted here? How many people have been impacted in Sierra Leone and other places? But for me, it's really the individual stories that matter. A young man who I mentioned when I was the national orator a few years ago, and I continue to mention him again because he serves as an inspiration for me, just as Stanley Opong does. Because when I met him, he came to the office and said to me, "Mr. Weeks, I don't have any money to pay my school fees. I can't get to school. I'm going to be put out." And at that point, this organization had exhausted all of the budget allocation for scholarships. But I said to him, "You know what? I will pay the school fees personally." And we started to do that. In 3 years, when he graduated from high school at 13, going to 14. He won the highest scores that year on the West African Examination Council exams. He won a full scholarship to the prestigious African Leadership Academy in South Africa, and he's now doing his undergrad studies in the United States. Just told me he's getting a fellowship to go to Princeton University to study. If I did nothing else in my life, if we did not implement a single other humanitarian project, I know that my life and my time here has been meaningful because there's one person, that young man, who will forever carry that torch of that simple kindness. And this is what we need in Liberia. We need this country and everybody in this country to believe that in us, we carry a torch of kindness and compassion and humanity. That if we reach out to one person every day, or one person in our lives and have a profound impact, it is the way to begin to change this country. Yes. And we can do it. We have gathered here tonight to celebrate another milestone for Youth Action International. When we started the organization, I was back in college, and so I was in my 20s. And so we said that all the heads of the organizations had to be youth. Obviously, we used the African definition of youth to be under 35. So at that point, 35 still seemed like it was far away. Today, it's only a few years away. And in a few years, I'll have to leave the organization and serve on the advisory board. But I also said we must leave a legacy. We must leave something that whoever takes over Youth Action International has a foundation to work with. And so the idea came out that we've been renting for too long. We've been paying our landlord, and every time I have to sign the check, I start to sweat. And we said this year must be the year that we not only get a permanent office, but it can also incorporate all of our programs in a building that's designed just for those programs. It came randomly. It was a random idea, a moment of inspiration. And I remember in that moment saying, this will be impossible to do. And many times in our lives, we have that feeling. We have that moment when something hits us, an amazing and an incredible idea. that could change lives and change environments. But very often, like I did, immediately when that idea came, the fear followed that it simply wouldn't happen. We simply wouldn't get the support. Even for this fundraiser, I always worried that I will be here and I will be with the wait staff and there will be nobody else in the room. That was the initial fear. But we took the first step. We took the next of young Liberian movie stars who have, and in the studios they need to produce quality products. They're being left behind. We now spend more time listening to music from other countries than we do our own. And I believe this must change. Not only must every Liberian enjoy Liberian music, but I believe that through this center, Liberian music will be exported and enjoyed by not only every African, but people across the world. And this is the goal. And this is why we've asked you and invited you here tonight to share this vision. A vision for a new Youth Action International, a vision for a new Liberia, and a vision for new Africa. I want to thank you all for being here tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the dinner. I also have to use this moment to apologize personally to anybody who is seated at a table. I hear the no-call table will laugh the loudest. Anybody who is seated at a table that you do not have a clear view, we do apologize. But we hope that you'll be inspired. We hope that you will enjoy the night. We hope you enjoy the conversation. And I want to thank Her Excellency, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who left an extremely busy schedule to be with us tonight. I thank you all.